welcome to a journey that begins where resistance ends. Imagine, just for a moment, that every struggle you hold inside, every fear about the future, every memory that traps you in the past, every self-judgment, and every voice telling you that you must control everything to survive, simply begins to soften. Think about how much energy you spend every day trying to force life to match your expectations. You fight thoughts, people, circumstances, and even your own emotions. Yet happiness never arrives from fighting. It arrives from allowing. The great paradox of life is that the harder we push for peace, the further it drifts. Real joy is not earned by conquering the world, it is uncovered by releasing your grip on what you think life must be. That surrender is not weakness, it is strength. Michael Singer often speaks of the voice in your mind that argues with reality, insisting things should be different, and every moment you identify with that voice, you become trapped in its tension. Tony Robbins reminds us that life happens for us, not to us. When you combine those truths, you arrive at a powerful realization: your emotions, your thoughts, and your past are not obstacles to fight, but energy to release. As you breathe in this moment, recognize that every struggle in your heart is simply a call to let go. You do not need to force your way into happiness. Happiness is what remains when you stop resisting life. In this space, surrender is not giving up, surrender is saying yes to reality as it is, and trusting that you are capable of meeting it. The moment you stop clinging to what hurts, the door to peace cracks open, inviting you into a life guided not by tension, but by freedom. Think about the times you felt heavy without knowing why. You woke up with a restless mind, replaying conversations, anticipating problems, carrying invisible burdens. Most people believe stress comes from events, but it comes from the inner struggle to control what we cannot. That resistance builds like pressure inside a dam. The mind says, I must solve everything before I can relax, and yet the problems never end, so neither does the strain. Singer suggests we treat inner discomfort as passing energy. Instead of tightening around it, we allow it to move through. That simple act changes everything. When a difficult emotion rises, the ordinary reaction is to shut down or fight back. But what if you simply let the feeling be there without trying to push it away? You would notice it soften, dissolve, and leave space behind. The same is true for thoughts. You do not need to stop thinking, you only need to stop believing every thought defines you. Robbins talks about the power of state: emotion controls meaning, and meaning controls behavior. When you release emotional tension instead of feeding it, your state elevates naturally. You begin shifting from survival to presence. The past no longer drags you backward and the future no longer threatens you. You stop arguing with life and start participating in it. That is surrender. It is allowing sadness to exist without letting it own you. It is watching frustration arise and fall without letting it spill into actions you regret. It is understanding that life's rhythm cannot be forced, only heard. In that listening, you discover that freedom is not an outcome, it is a daily practice of letting every moment come, and letting it go again, like breath flowing in and out of the body. The human heart holds stories of who we think we are, what we deserve, what others owe us, and what success must look like before we can call our life worthwhile. These stories shape how we feel, and yet most were never consciously chosen. They were inherited from fear, culture, childhood, pain, and comparison. We chase achievements believing they will quiet insecurity, but insecurity is not silenced by winning, it is dissolved by letting go of the belief that your worth depends on anything external. Singer teaches that the inner voice is not you, it is a psychological habit built from survival instincts. Robbins emphasizes that the mind is designed to protect, not to make you happy. When you combine those ideas, you begin to see your inner commentary not as truth, but as noise. The question then becomes, who are you when the noise settles? You are the awareness that sees thoughts arise. You are the space behind emotion. When you are no longer pulled into every story your mind tells, life feels spacious. You stop reacting from wounds and start responding from clarity. Surrender does not mean abandoning ambition, it means freeing ambition from neediness and fear. You act not to prove yourself, but to express your potential. You no longer grip relationships tightly fearing loss, you love more deeply because you trust life's flow. Imagine walking through your day with that lightness, where challenges still come but they no longer define you. You do not shrink from discomfort, you open to it. Every moment becomes a chance to relax rather than resist. And in that relaxation, your heart remembers what it always knew: your worth is intrinsic, your peace is within reach, and life is far kinder when you allow it to unfold instead of forcing it to obey your expectations. Letting go begins with awareness, but awareness alone is not enough. You must practice releasing control in real time. Picture yourself in a tense conversation, the urge to defend rises, your chest tightens, your breath shortens. In that moment, surrender is noticing the inner contraction and choosing not to feed it. You breathe. You allow discomfort. You watch the emotion instead of becoming it. That single pause rewires your life. Most reactions happen automatically because we never learn to let emotions pass. We hold them like tightly clenched fists. But once you learn to relax into experience instead of bracing against it, something shifts. You realize the mind's urgency is rarely truth. The impulse to control is rarely wisdom. Robbins speaks about creating gratitude in the body, not just as a thought but as a felt state. Singer speaks about opening your heart even when it hurts. Combine the two and you learn a life-altering practice. When discomfort arises, breathe into openness, not tension. Gratitude softens fear. Openness dissolves resistance. Each time you choose to relax in the face of discomfort, you dissolve stored pain that has lived inside you for years. Letting go is not passive, it is courageous. Anyone can react. It takes strength to remain open. And gradually, life feels less like a battlefield and more like a river. Yes, rocks and currents remain, but you learn to float instead of flail. When you release the constant inner fight, peace is no longer something you search for, it becomes your default state. True surrender is not giving up on life, it is giving up the illusion that you must control every detail for life to be okay. Think of all the moments you believed happiness was on the other side of a condition. When I achieve this goal, when I earn that income, when I fix these flaws, then I will relax. But goals keep moving, flaws keep appearing, and peace remains postponed. Surrender breaks this cycle. It teaches you that you do not have to wait for life to be perfect to feel whole. You do not have to figure everything out before feeling safe. Safety is not found in certainty, it is found in trust. When you trust that life gives you exactly what is needed for your evolution, even challenges become teachers. Robbins reminds us that meaning shapes destiny. If you choose a meaning of growth instead of fear, every situation becomes fuel. Singer says life acts as a purifier, events trigger stored energy so it can rise and leave. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What in me is being asked to release?" That shift is awakening. Suddenly, nothing is wasted. Pain becomes purification. Delay becomes guidance. Failure becomes refinement. And gratitude begins flowing even in uncertainty, because you sense a larger intelligence moving through your experience. Surrender is not abandoning effort, it is aligning effort with trust. You show up fully, give your best, and release the outcome. You live with passion, but without attachment. You serve not from fear of loss, but from fullness. And life responds with a quiet magic, doors open, synchronicity appears, and peace becomes your foundation instead of a distant reward. Letting go is rarely dramatic, it is 1,000 small choices made each day. The choice to breathe instead of argue with your thoughts. The choice to allow sadness instead of covering it. The choice to remain open-hearted even when someone disappoints you. These moments build inner strength more than any external achievement could. Singer encourages us to become comfortable with inner disturbance, to treat it like passing weather rather than a threat. Robbins speaks of elevating your standards and shaping your identity. When put together, the message becomes clear: your identity expands not by clinging to emotions, but by releasing them. Every disturbance is an invitation to rise beyond old patterns. The mind may say, "Protect yourself," but the heart whispers, "Stay open." As you practice surrender, you begin noticing subtle shifts. Situations that once triggered you now pass with ease. Conversations flow more peacefully. Decisions feel guided rather than pressured. Relationships deepen because you no longer demand others carry your emotional weight. You stop replaying what went wrong and begin appreciating what is right. And most importantly, inner quiet emerges. That silence is not emptiness, it is spaciousness. It is the gentle hum of a soul unburdened. You start tasting freedom not as a distant dream, but as a living experience in ordinary moments: washing dishes, listening to someone speak, walking outside and noticing the sky. Freedom is not dramatic, it is subtle. It is the absence of inner struggle. The more you surrender, the more that peace stabilizes, becoming not a temporary state but a new baseline of being. There will be moments when resistance resurfaces, when fear grips again, when the old mind screams for control. That is not failure, it is part of growth. Each return of discomfort offers another chance to release. Even Singer admits the work never ends, it deepens. Robbins reminds us to anticipate challenges and prepare emotionally for them, not avoid them. In surrender, you learn patience. You learn compassion for your humanity. You realize healing is not linear and peace does not require perfection. Instead of judging yourself for tension, you witness it. Instead of collapsing into old habits, you breathe and let go again. And each repetition strengthens your inner muscles. Soon, surrender becomes second nature. When someone criticizes you, you no longer crumble. When uncertainty arises, you no longer panic. You experience emotion fully, yet remain anchored in awareness. And from that awareness, clarity emerges. You begin making decisions not from fear but from intuition. You follow inspiration rather than compulsion. Life feels guided, and the right actions reveal themselves without force. Even ambition becomes cleaner, driven by purpose, not insecurity. You work hard, but not desperately. You love deeply, but without clinging. You experience pain, but do not collapse into it. This is freedom in action, a life lived from inner stability rather than external control. And as surrender deepens, gratitude becomes your natural lens. You start seeing beauty you once overlooked: small acts of kindness, quiet mornings, even challenges that shape your strength. Joy becomes simpler, more grounded, more present. In the end, surrender is not a technique, it is a way of living. It is choosing trust over fear, presence over projection, openness over control. The world may still swirl with uncertainty, but you stand rooted in a deeper knowing that you are not the voice in your head, you are the awareness behind it. Happiness is not something you achieve, it is what remains when you drop the struggle. As you walk forward from this moment, allow life to unfold without needing to manipulate every outcome. Practice noticing instead of clinging. Practice breathing instead of bracing. Imagine waking each day with a quiet confidence that whatever comes, you can meet it with openness. Imagine relationships free from fear, actions free from ego, and moments filled with appreciation simply because you are alive to experience them. That is the gift of surrender. Not a life free from difficulty, but a heart free from resistance. Today, choose to let go. Not of responsibility, not of dreams, but of the inner tension that blocks you from living fully. Let go of trying to control what is not yours to control. Let go of stories that limit you. Let emotions rise and fall like waves. Trust that you are carried. With each breath, feel the weight dissolve. You are here, fully alive, capable of meeting life as it is. And in that surrender, you discover the happiness that has always lived within you, waiting for you to release your resistance and simply be.